It's really funny. I've spent years sitting across from so many different people, helping them find their words, helping them to say the things that feel too big or too complicated or too embarrassing to say out loud. And here I am, a whole licensed clinician, a director, a professor, a published author, sitting in front of a microphone trying to figure out how to introduce myself. Well, hi, I'm Dr. Carmela Maxell, and this is Rooted and Rising. Let me tell you who I actually am, not just the credentials, because honestly, my credentials are the least interesting thing about me. So yes, I do have a doctorate in clinical psychology and a master's degree. I have an MBA in healthcare management, and I'm a licensed mental health clinician, a substance use disorder specialist, and a professor and a director of a treatment program. So yeah, I have a lot of letters after my name. But here's what those letters don't tell you. I am a Black and Filipino woman who grew up caring a lot. I'm a daughter who lost her father, a mother of 3 who was constantly trying to figure out how to be everything to everyone without disappearing or losing myself in the process. A writer who had a whole novella living inside her for years before she let it out. A clinician who has sat with some of the most broken, beautiful, complicated human beings you'll ever meet and learned more from them than any textbook or any amount of reading has ever taught me. I'm someone who's been through some things, real things. The kinds of things that don't make it into a resume, but absolutely shape who you are and what you have to say. And I have a lot to say, which is probably why I was recently in a 1-hour interview that just turned into 3 hours. It was just phenomenal, and we had a great time. So what is Rooted and Rising? Let me get things straight with you. It is not a therapy podcast. I want to be clear about that. I am not your therapist. But if you do need one, please go get one, and I mean that sincerely. There's so many different apps, calling the back of your insurance card. Make sure that you are getting the help that you need. This is something different. This is a space where I get to be honest in a way that my professional life doesn't always allow. Where I can talk about mental health without hiding behind clinical language. Where I can talk about grief and loss and the ways systems fail people. Because I've watched that happen up close for a long time. I want this to be a place where I can talk about creativity and storytelling and what it means to make something when the world keeps telling you to be practical. Rooted and Rising is about healing, growth, resilience, becoming. Not in the Instagram caption kind of way, not the toxic positivity version where everything is a blessing in disguise and your trauma is just a plot twist on your glow up journey. No, I mean the real version, the hard version, the version where healing is not linear and growth sometimes feels like falling apart at first, and resilience is not the absence of breaking down. It's what happens after. I want to talk to the healers who need healing. The strong ones who are tired of being strong, the creative people who've been told to be practical, our people of color, our women, our youngsters, carrying generations of grief in their bodies and calling it fine. The people who have sat in therapy waiting rooms and felt unseen. The ones who have lost someone and didn't know how to grieve in a world that gave them 3 days of bereavement and a casserole. And if that's you, welcome. You belong here. So I want to talk about why I'm doing this now. Because the honest answer is I've been avoiding it for a long time. I've known for years that I had something to say, something beyond what fits in a session note or a treatment plan or a faculty lecture. I've watched people transform in front of me in clinical settings, in classrooms, in the middle of conversations that started as something else entirely. And I thought over and over again, this needs to be heard by more people. But my problem was I kept waiting until I had more time, waiting until things calmed down at work and at home, waiting until I had the perfect setup, the perfect plan, the perfect moment. And then I published a book I published a book. So my debut novella is called Bereavement. It's a literary dystopian story about grief, love, and memory, and what happens when the systems we live inside start to profit from human longing. And I wrote it in fragments between long work days, difficult conversations, moments of personal grief, because some stories refuse to wait for the right time. So my father passed away last year. And a lot of what lives in that book, the ache of it, the specific weight of losing a parent, came from that. Publishing Bereavement taught me something that I need to share with you. Waiting for perfection is just fear wearing a productivity costume. I had this novel inside me this whole time. I had this podcast inside me, had all the things that I needed to say. And I kept organizing them and compartmentalizing them and refining them and making them pretty and presentable when they just needed to simply exist. So here I am on my iPhone, recording this in whatever quiet moment I can find between being a director, a professor, a mother, a human being who's still very much figuring things out. Because done and imperfect is better than perfect and silent. So what can you expect from this podcast? Honest conversations. Solo episodes where I go deep on something that's been living in my head. It might be about mental health or grief or identity, creativity, institutional systems, what it means to be a person of color or part of a marginalized group in spaces that weren't built for us. And I'll probably bring guests in eventually, but right now it's just me. And I think that's exactly what it needs to be at the start. Before I invite anyone else into this space, I just need to show up in it myself. Look, I'm not always going to have the answers. I'm not going to pretend to. But what I always will have is the willingness to be honest, to sit with the hard questions, and to bring everything I know, clinically, personally, creatively, to this conversation. Some episodes are going to be heavy, and some will be lighter. Some will probably make you laugh and then make you cry in the same 10 minutes, which, if you know me, is very on brand. I will talk about the book. I will talk about the work. I will talk about my life. And I will talk about the things we don't usually say out loud. Because in my experience, the unsaid things are always the most important ones. Before I go, I want to say something to whoever found their way here. Look, I don't know who you are or where you are right now. I don't know what you're carrying. But I know that something brought you to a podcast called Rooting and Rising. And I don't think that's an accident. Maybe you're in the middle of something hard. Maybe you're on the other side of it, trying to make sense of what happened. Maybe you're a clinician who gives everything to your clients and has nothing left for yourself at the end of the day. Or a mother, or a father, or a sister, or a brother, or an uncle, or a cousin. Maybe you're a creative person who's been told your gifts aren't practical. Maybe you lost somebody. Maybe you're about to. Maybe you're in the process of losing yourself and hoping someone says something that makes you feel less alone. Whatever it is, I see you, and I'm glad that you're here. My name is Dr. Carmela Maxell. This is Rooted in Rising, and we're just getting started. If this episode resonated with you, please subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Share it with someone who needs it. And if you want to connect, find me on Instagram at The Real Carmela Maxell. My debut novella is now available on Amazon. It is the Kindle edition. Paperback is coming soon. And it will be available on audiobook and Spotify shortly. Link in the show notes. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next episode.